Are you ready to see how blockchain is reshaping the way that you think about real-world assets? Today, we're going to be diving into a game-changing move that's shaking up the digital finance world. In this video, we're going to be talking about how the HBAR Foundation is teaming up with the ERC 3643 Association to unlock a future where real-world assets can be tokenized, managed and exchanged in ways that are secure, compliant, and downright innovative. So stick with me because what you're about to learn isn't just tech talk. It's the foundation for a digital economy that could change the way that institutions and everyday people handle assets. Imagine a future where digital assets are like keys to a building. Only the right people can get in. Now, that's kind of what ERC 3643 brings to the table, right? This isn't a brand new idea. It's actually a proven standard that's already helping banks like Citi and ABN AMRO tokenize green bonds and other financial instruments. But now, with the HBAR Foundation joining forces with ERC 3643, well, we're looking at a whole new level of potential. And the best part? Is happening on the Hedera network, a platform that's known for its speed, security, and efficiency. But let's rewind just a little bit. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is tokenization and why does it matter? Well, think of tokenization as turning physical or traditional financial assets into digital tokens. It's kind of like having a digital receipt for something very valuable, whether it's a kind of piece of art, a bond, or even a kind of share in a company. Now, ERC-3643 takes this concept further by adding a layer of permission and control. So picture it like a VIP pass, right? Only the people with the right credentials can get access or trade these tokens. And that's huge when it comes to making sure that everything stays legal and above board. Now, let's talk about the HBAR Foundation in all of this, right? These guys aren't just sitting on the sidelines. They're actually active players in the Hedera Governing Council, which means that they have a real say in how the network evolves. Their decision to join the ERC 3643 Association isn't just a name drop. It's actually a strategic move designed to accelerate the adoption of real-world asset tokenization. Now, by endorsing this standard, the HBAR Foundation is essentially telling businesses and institutions, hey, if you want to step into the future of finance, this is the way to do it. So, why is this partnership such a big deal then? Well, first off, it means that more institutions can start using a tried and tested system to issue digital assets that are fully compliant with regulations. Now, for a long time, one of the biggest challenges in the digital asset space has been ensuring that everything is secure and follows the law. Now, with ERC 3643, that challenge starts to look a lot more kind of manageable. Now, this standard makes it possible to create digital assets that aren't just pieces of code, but actual, legally recognized tokens that represent real-world value. But let's get into some of the storytelling here, right? Picture this, right? A major bank, right? Tired of kind of the old clunky systems, decided it's time to kind of modernize, right? They've been watching how digital currencies and blockchain technology are transforming finance, but they're also aware of the risks, especially when it comes to regulation. Then comes along ERC 3643, right, offering a blueprint for how to digitize assets without running afoul of the law. Now, that bank, along with others, jumps on board. Now, imagine the HBAR Foundation stepping into this picture, right? Their role isn't to just sit back and watch. They're here to pave the way for a smooth transition to a digital economy where compliance is not an afterthought, but a built-in feature. Now, as cool as it all sounds, it isn't going to be all smooth sailing, right? The journey to widespread adoption of any new technology is rarely a straight line, right? Many institutions are cautious, worried about the risks of moving too fast or adopting a system that might not be fully ready for kind of prime time. And then there's always the challenge of trust. How do we know that this new system will actually work as promised? And that's where the partnership with HBAR Foundation really comes into play. With their strong backing and active role in the Hedera network, they offer a level of reassurance that can really ease these concerns. Now, they're like the experienced tour guide in a foreign land, showing businesses the safe path through a complicated digital landscape. Now, one of the coolest parts about this development is how it bridges the gap between traditional enterprises and the world of Web3. Now, for many companies, the idea of blockchain still feels a little bit like stepping into the unknown. There are questions about security, efficiency, and whether the technology can really handle the kind of transactions that big institutions require. The answer here is a resounding yes, and ERC 3643 is a part of that answer. With its kind of, permission-based features, it actually allows companies to maintain control over, who can interact with their digital assets, ensuring that everything stays secure and regulated. But let's break it down just a little bit further. Right? Think of ERC 3643 as a sophisticated security system for digital assets. In the same way that a security building might have keycards or biometric scanners and maybe even a watchful guard at the door. Right? ERC 3643 uses digital permissions to ensure that only authorized people can access or trade a token. Now, this is incredibly important when you consider the stakes, right? When big money and valuable assets are on the line, well, there's no room for error, right? Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great for big institutions, but what does it mean for the little guy? Well, here's the thing. While the primary focus of this partnership is to boost enterprise adoption, the ripple effects could eventually trickle down to everyday users. So when you have a kind of more secure and efficient system for managing digital assets, it creates a more stable, reliable market overall, right? And a stable market benefits everyone. And the large banks to individual kind of investors are looking to kind of dip their toes into the world of digital finance. Of course, right? It hasn't all been smooth sailing for HBAR either, right? Recently, there's been some chatter about a dip in the HBAR token value, right? Now, anytime you kind of see a drop in the market, it can either stir up a bit of panic or do something different, right? Create some FOMO. But here's the silver lining in all of this, right? A leading crypto analyst has predicted a potential rally of over 140% for HBAR based on technical analysis and the breakthrough of key resistance levels. Now, in simpler terms, while there might still be some bumps along the road right now, the long-term outlook for HBAR remains quite strong. And it's a bit like kind of seeing dark clouds on the horizon. You might get a little rain now, but it's actually usually followed by a bright, clear sky. Now, let's put all of this into perspective with a real-world analogy then. Right? Imagine you're planning to build a new house, right? You wouldn't start without a solid foundation, right? You'd carefully select the right materials, hire expert builders, and ensure that every step of the process is up to code. Well, that's exactly what HBAR Foundation is doing by joining forces with the ERC 3643 Association. They're laying down the groundwork for a digital future that's not just built on hype, but on real tangible value. And just like a kind of a construction site, right? While there might be some delays or unexpected challenges along the way, a strong foundation is what ultimately determines the success of the project. Now, let's talk about some of the other exciting developments happening on the Hedera network. In February, Hedera made headlines for two major partnerships. First up, there was the collaboration with Dell Technologies. Now, Dell is using Hedera's network to, record real-time data from its edge infrastructure, ensuring that the data is trustworthy and can be audited whenever needed. Now, what makes this even more interesting is that this project is also testing out AI services integrated with Hedera's consensus service. It's a blend of blockchain and artificial intelligence that could lead to some groundbreaking applications. And then there's Hitachi, a giant in the tech world, right? Which recently joined the Hedera Governing Council as of the 32nd member, or at least as the 32nd member. Now, Hitachi's entry is more than just a number. It's actually a strong signal to the market. When a company with the reputation and experience of Hitachi, decides to get involved, well, it sends a clear message. Hedera isn't just some experimental technology. It's a serious platform that's here to stay. Now, this kind of validation is crucial for building trust among other institutions that might be on the fence about diving into the digital asset space. Now, all of these moves are part of a much larger trend. Right? We're witnessing a shift where the old ways of handling assets are being challenged by new, innovative solutions that harness the power of blockchain technology. Tokenization, it is not just a buzzword. It's a practical solution to some of the most pressing challenges in the financial world. By turning traditional assets into digital tokens, companies can streamline processes, reduce costs, and improve security. And with the standards like, ERC 3643, they can all be done, or at least can all be done, can do this all while staying very compliant with the regulations, right? So, what's the big picture here? Well, we're at a crossroads where technology and finance are converging in ways that could reshape our entire economic system. The partnership between the HBAR Foundation and ERC 3643 is a prime example of this convergence, right? It's about kind of building bridges between traditional finance and the emerging world of Web3, making it easier for institutions to adopt new technologies without sacrificing security or regulatory compliance. Of course, with any major shift, there are going to be challenges. For one, there's the question of adoption, right? Large companies are naturally cautious, and it takes time for new technologies to gain traction. There's also the need for widespread education and understanding, right? Many people, even those in finance, are still getting to grips with what blockchain and tokenization really means. It's kind of like learning a new language, right? It takes time, practice, and a bit of patience. But here is where the HBAR Foundation shines. By leveraging their position in the Hedera network and their strategic partnerships, they're not just waiting for the future to happen. They're actively kind of shaping it. They're working to educate institutions, streamline adoption, and ultimately build a more efficient, secure, and innovative financial ecosystem. It's a bold move that kind of shows that they're not afraid to take risks and push the boundaries of what is possible. But let's pause here for just a moment and think about the potential implications of all of this. Right, imagine a world where every asset that you own, whether it is real estate, stocks, bonds, or even art, is represented by a digital token. Trading, transferring, or even just verifying ownership becomes seamless, almost instantaneous process. But there'll be no more waiting, no more kind of waiting for bank approvals, no more cumbersome paperwork to be done. Everything happens in real time, backed by the security of blockchain technology. This isn't science fiction either. It's actually the direction that we're heading, and partnerships like the one between the HBAR Foundation and ERC 3643 are paving the way. Of course, as with any emerging technology, there are risks and uncertainties. Right? Market fluctuations, regulatory changes, and technical challenges can all throw a wrench into the works. But if history has taught us anything, it's that innovation often comes with a few bumps along the road. The key is to kind of build a system that can withstand these challenges, right? One that is flexible, robust, and capable of evolving as it's needed, right? And that is exactly what ERC 3643 promises to do. So, we've seen how a dip in HBAR's token value can cause a stir in the market, but it's important to look at the longer-term picture, right? The bullish outlook from analysts predicting a potential rally of more than 140% is a sign that despite short-term volatility, the fundamentals of the network remain strong. It's kind of like watching a roller coaster. You might feel a little bit queasy during the drops, but the overall ride is designed to kind of thrill and excite you over the long haul. So in wrapping all of this up, the collaboration between the HBAR Foundation and ERC 3643 is not just another headline. It's a signal of where the future of finance is heading. It's about combining the best of both worlds, the stability and trust of traditional institutions with the speed, efficiency, and innovation of blockchain technology. And by bridging these elements together, we're looking at a future where managing real-world assets become more secure, transparent, and more accessible than ever before. So to sum it all up, here's kind of what we've learned today, right? The HBAR Foundation's strategic partnership with the ERC 3643 Association is a major step towards a future, where we do truly see digitalized and compliant, tokenizations within the financial system. With this kind of collaboration, institutions can start to adapt and adopt a kind of secure, permission-based standard for tokenizing real-world assets, paving the way for broader acceptance and faster onboarding. And while there may be some short-term market fluctuations, the long-term outlook remains promising, with industry giants like Dell and Hitachi reinforcing the credibility and potential of the Hedera network. So, if you're as fascinated by this digital revolution as I am, you know that the future is here, and it's only getting brighter. So imagine a world where every financial transaction is as smooth and as secure as tapping a keycard at a high-tech building. That's the promise of ERC 3643, and with the backing of the HBAR Foundation, it's closer than ever before. Guys, if you found this update useful and informative, make sure to smash that like button for me. The more likes that we get, the further that YouTube pushes the content and spreads the word about HBAR. So let's go ahead and get those likes nice and high. And of course, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to tap that subscribe button just down below so you don't miss any more content that we put out here on the channel. And of course, guys, did you know that if you owned 10,000 XRP or more, then actually you are going to be richer than 95% of other investors? You can learn more about this by checking out that video right there.